Good evening, everybody. I'm so honored to be with all of you to celebrate Passover. I especially want to thank Rabbi Sharon Brous, ICAR, the Milton Gottesman Jewish Day School of the nation's capital for being a part of this special gathering. I also want to take a moment to welcome several distinguished guests who are joining our Passover celebration this evening. My friend, Senator Jackie Rosen, Congressman Brad Schneider, Congressman Ted Deutsch, hi Ted, Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, hi Debbie, Congressman Lois Frankel, hello Lois. And finally, I want to thank each of you, the thousands of you, zooming in from across the country to join us, including my own beloved parents, Mike and Barb, and other members of our family. Now this is a moment of many firsts. We are gathered today for the first Passover celebration of the Biden-Harris administration. And I'm excited to join you as the first ever second gentleman, married to the first woman to serve as Vice President of the United States, and as the first Jewish spouse of a president or a vice president. This is the second Passover in a row that we're celebrating virtually, and hopefully it's the last. The pandemic has forced all of us to adjust or pause some of our favorite traditions and activities. But if we all continue to follow the guidelines that are helping to keep us safe, and you know what they are, stay socially distanced, wear a mask, get vaccinated when it's your turn, we're going to win this fight against COVID, and we're all going to be together in person next year. Now, Passover. It's always been one of my favorite holidays. In fact, some of my best memories are my own family's Jewish traditions. My mom, Barb, dressing me and my brother Andy and my sister Jamie in matching outfits to go over to my grandma Ann's house in Brooklyn for the Seder. Now, of course, it's exactly what you're picturing, that apartment. The plastic coverings on the sofa, the smell of the brisket wafting in from the kitchen, and me sitting there at the table, patiently waiting, just waiting to dig into that delightfully gelatinous gefilte fish, which inexplicably I still love today, by the way, especially with that red horseradish. Now, the Seder is also where I learned from an early age the power of the Passover story. It's a story that's both ancient and resonant, distant and relevant. A story about our ancestors yearning for liberation and finally achieving it. And a story that inspires and informs the struggle for justice to this very day. Now, more than any single tradition, this ongoing search for justice is a thread running through all of our modern Jewish experience. Passover is no exception. Right there in the text of the Haggadah, we're told to see ourselves as if we, too, were freed from Egypt. It's a reminder to put ourselves in the shoes of the oppressed and view their rights as bound up with our own. It's a story that teaches us about perseverance and reminds us that even in the face of a pandemic, faith and resilience can carry us across a sea of uncertainty towards health and happiness for each of us. It teaches us to look out for those we may not even know. The importance of leaving an empty chair at a table for strangers who may not have anywhere else to go. And it teaches us about the value of unsung heroes, the people who don't typically get top billing in the Seder, but without whom the ongoing quest for justice and righteousness wouldn't be possible. And as we celebrate Women's History Month now, we should also talk about the women who've earned their own chapters in the history books, then and now. The often neglected women in the Passover story, including the midwives who saved Moses, the mother who nursed him, the Egyptian princess who spared him the pain of slavery, the sister, a prophet in her own right, who watched over him and ultimately led the Israelites in a song of liberation. But what strikes me most are the unsung heroes in our midst today, the healthcare workers, first responders, working, putting themselves on the line to protect our families, the teachers finding new ways to connect with students, those grocery workers who are working so hard to keep us all fed, the transportation workers getting our essential workforce to their jobs, and all those parents out there and those mothers who are sacrificing, putting careers on hold to keep their families together, and our faith leaders, regardless of any faith, of all faiths, helping all of our communities heal during this very difficult time. Just like in Passover, this pandemic's unsung heroes have done the quiet but necessary work of giving us all a chance to survive, to be safe, healthy, and free. It's fitting that as we gather this year for our virtual Passover celebration, we're beginning to see signs of hope at the end of a very long journey through this pandemic. And as President Biden said, there is light and hope for better days if we all do our part. I want to thank you again, the thousands of you, for giving me this opportunity to join you tonight. And on behalf of my own family, some of whom are out there as well, and this administration, I want to wish you and your families a happy, healthy Passover.